It's like that liminal space between chapters in a book where we all look back at what was and forward to what will be. But right now, we're kinda stuck in between. The hallways of our schools have echoed with the laughter of children for months or years. And now they stand nearly silent, save for the squeak of departing sneakers on the linoleum floor. What were once the hubbub of lockers slamming and friends parting for the summer become the hollow thud of footsteps and the distant drone of voices on the phone. It's a moment of transition and emptying out to make room for new beginnings. Sometimes, though, not everything gets to leave. Some things, some people, some memories, they linger just a bit longer than they should. Some secrets are buried deep, and the ground where we hide them doesn't always stay so. So if you find yourself lingering in the empty halls, pay attention to the whispers of the walls. They may be trying to tell you something. And speaking of which, if you love those creepy vibes, give this story a thumbs up, because, let me tell you, it only gets better. Our story begins on the last day of school, the end of June to be exact, at Eastfield High. After the final bell rings, the school empties out quickly. Teachers hurriedly gather their things, shoving papers into folders and grabbing their briefcases and backpacks. Students pile out the doors, laughing and shoving each other playfully, trading numbers and making plans for the summer. Among them is 17-year-old Jason Turner, who walks side by side with his older brother, Josh, awaiting their father outside the school. But Jason pauses by his locker, pulling out a worn black notebook, his college essay, his magnum opus, his chance to wow admissions officers. He rereads it one last time, tucking it safely into his backpack before he follows his brother out the door. In the parking lot, Jason spots their father's beat-up pickup truck and waves, jogging to reach it. Josh, ever impatient, climbs into the truck bed without a word, and Jason rolls down his window to call out to him, but Josh silences him with a sharp look. Jason, confused, lets the window rise again and slides into the cab beside him, and that's when he remembers. He turns back to the school and calls out to his dad. "Wait, I forgot my notebook. It's in my locker. Can you turn around?" Dad stops the truck and sighs heavily. "Jason, if you could have just done this in the first place, we wouldn't have to do this now. Come on," he says, turning the truck back toward the school. Inside the building, the air conditioner drones steadily above the scrape of chairs on tile floors. Jason runs down the corridor to his locker. No, 330. He pulls out his combination lock and opens the door, grabs his notebook, and shuts the locker door. But as he does, he notices something. Locker number 331 is slightly ajar. This isn't possible. Not only is the seal covering the lock intact, but the student whose locker it is, Elliot Ward, died 3 months ago. Jason shakes off the strange feeling that creeps up his spine and strides away. He hears his dad call his name from somewhere ahead. As Jason nears the front doors, he hears a soft whisper behind him. "Jason." He spins around. No one. Then he sees the glint of the setting sun through the glass doors ahead and catches his own reflection. Beside him, he can't see his hair or his clothes, but reflected in his eyes, he sees a figure standing directly behind him. It's a boy wearing a black hoodie. Jason turns back slowly, but there's no one there. Was that a trick of the light? Is someone playing a prank? He dismisses it and steps out into the sunshine. When Jason reaches the truck, his dad is slumped in the seat and looks up at him wearily. "Let's go home," he says, starting the engine. But Jason notices a strange coldness as he slips back into the cab. The windows are rolled up, but it feels as though someone has cranked the air conditioning to freezing. But there's no AC running. He shivers and buckles up, suddenly nervous. He keeps glancing back at the school as his dad drives away. He tells himself it's just nerves, the anticipation of summer vacation, that's all. But when Jason asks his dad to stop at the convenience store on the corner of Elm Street, it's because he wants to use the restroom. His dad obliges, But Jason spends an uncomfortably long time inside the bathroom stall, hands clenched, fingernails digging into his palms. When he comes out, he flushes the toilet and washes his hands, staring at the water as it cascades into the porcelain sink. It's cold, but he doesn't care. His dad is waiting patiently outside the bathroom when Jason emerges, and they drive home in silence. At home, Jason spends the afternoon sprawled on his couch, watching television, occasionally texting his friends about their summer plans. But every time he closes his eyes, he sees the open locker, feels the coldness, and hears the voice in his ear. He decides he needs to go back to school. He tells his mom, and she laughs. "Jason, honey, you don't need to go back. You finished your finals. School's out for the summer." But he can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. He grabs his keys and rushes out the door. At the school, Jason walks the empty halls, past old classrooms and trophy cases filled with faded photographs. He hears the sound of janitors sweeping up another school year and ignores the prickling unease crawling up his neck. Finally, he reaches his former locker. No, 330. He opens it, searching for his notebook. Why did he feel like he needed to come back here? Now, he can't remember. Frustrated, he scans the pages until he finds the essay and pulls it out. Then he notices a scrap of paper in the back pocket of the locker, a single, crumpled piece of lined paper. It reads, "Don't leave yet. I'm still here. So are you." Scratched in frantic handwriting, Jason recognizes the writing. It's Elliot Ward's. Then he remembers. That day, he'd been in the principal's office while they confiscated Elliot's belongings. His worn leather jacket, his headphones, his battered guitar. And when they found the notebook hidden under the guitar case, it read aloud the chilling poem, "So Are You," had been scrawled at the bottom. Jason stuffed the note into his pocket, slamming the locker shut. Or tried to. It wouldn't close. Jason stared at the locker, his heart pounding in his chest. The metal bars seemed to warp and twist before his eyes. The darkness within the locker seemed to writhe and beckon with unseen fingers. Frozen in place, he felt a coldness creep up his legs, sapping the warmth from his body. It spread through his limbs, chilling him to the bone. He wanted to scream, but no sound escaped his throat. Trapped in his own horror, he looked down both ends of the hallway. No one. His scream finally tore from his throat, echoing unanswered through the vast emptiness of the school. Security later reviewed the footage. They watched Jason walk toward his locker, retrieve his notebook, and stuff Elliot's note into his pocket. Then they watched him struggle with his locker, but there was no sign of anyone else. But security cameras don't capture everything. When Jason's parents arrived at the school to find him, they discovered scratches marring the surface of locker 331, and when they pressed the intercom button to call for someone to help them open it, a raspy voice crackled through the speaker. "No one can help you. No one can hear you. No one can see you," it said. "You're never going to leave." Terrified, Jason's parents ripped the intercom from the wall, but when they did, a wave of cold air blasted out, sending papers fluttering to the floor. And when they looked up, they saw something lying in the locker, something that wasn't there before. Back at home, Jason tried to shake off the horror of that day, but he couldn't escape the feeling that he was being watched. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Elliot's pale face staring back at him, his empty sockets boring into Jason's soul. The scratching at his window kept him awake at night. Then he started hearing whispering coming from his closet, his voices too faint to decipher. But when he opened the door, there was nothing there. On the first day of school, Jason hadn't told anyone what happened to him the previous June. Fear and shame kept his experience locked away. But he knew he had to share his story. So, on the first day of school, he went to his guidance counselor, Miss Peterson, hoping she could help him. But as he spoke, pouring out his fears and experiences, Miss Peterson's expression grew increasingly skeptical. "Jason, this sounds like a very vivid nightmare. Have you talked to your family about it? Your parents?" "I don't want to worry them," Jason admitted. They've already been through enough. My brother's gone, my sister's away at college, and my parents are working extra shifts just to keep a roof over our heads. I don't want to add more stress to our lives. Well, Jason, perhaps that's what you need. Some extra support, some extra help. I'm going to refer you to Dr. Caldwell for some counseling sessions. How does that sound? Jason shook his head, tears pricking his eyes. Okay. No, I don't want to talk to someone about it. I just want to know what to do. Okay, how do I stop him? Miss Peterson frowned. Stop who? Jason, if you're having thoughts of harming yourself or others, you need to tell me. You know, we can get help. We can find resources. Please, Jason, you have to trust me. It's Elliot, he whispered, horrified. What did I do to deserve this? To this day, no one knows how Jason ended up trapped in the hallway, or how the locker was open. When school reopened in September, Elliot's locker was found with something new inside. A black notebook, the same color as the one Jason had left behind, with Jason's name written on the cover in Elliot's shaky handwriting. Maybe some things are best left undisturbed. Maybe some doors aren't meant to be opened. Once they do, you don't leave, you stay. Mr. Night Horror, where the dark waits to be seen, will be uploaded today, and part 2 will be uploaded tomorrow. Both parts will be linked in the description box below. And just before we begin, I'd like to thank our Discord boosters. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and allowing us to bring more scary stories to you. With all that said, here is our user-submitted story. The gown that didn't want to be worn again. Graduation is supposed to be the happiest day of your school life. For one student at Willow Creek High in Ontario, it became the day she was never seen again. This is the story of Maya and the gown that didn't want to be worn again. It was the final week of school. Seniors at Willow Creek High were buzzing with excitement. Final exams were done, yearbooks were being signed, and everyone was getting ready for graduation rehearsal. Maya Thompson, 18, was a quiet student. Not the popular type, but polite, kind, always on time. The only problem, she hadn't picked up her graduation gown yet. So her homeroom teacher gave her a key to the storage room and told her, grab any spare gown in your size, so they're all clean and folded. So Maya went to the far end of the school, down a dim hallway. She never really walked before. She unlocked the storage room. It was dark, dusty, boxes and bins stacked to the ceiling. Most of the gowns were navy blue, freshly pressed. But at the very back of the rack, there was one that stood out. It was darker, almost black. The material felt heavier, colder, but it fit, okay? And Maya, running late, took it without a second thought. She didn't see the faded name tag stitched inside. Lena, class of '98. That night, Maya hung the gown on the back of her bedroom door. She was proud, excited for the ceremony. But around 2:17 a.m., she woke up. Not from a noise, but a feeling cold, like ice had touched her spine. And then she heard it, a whisper. You took what was mine. Maya turned on the lamp. Her room was empty, but the gown was no longer hanging. It was on her bed, folded neatly, and the tag was flipped outward. Lena, class of '98. The next day at rehearsal, Maya didn't say anything. She assumed maybe she'd forgotten she moved the gown. But during the walk on stage, as her name was called, the drama teacher dropped his clipboard, his face pale. Afterward, he pulled Maya aside and asked where she got that gown. She told him it was from the storage room. He paused, then whispered, that's not possible. That gown belonged to Lena Breyer. She died in the fire. That gown was locked away. In 1998, a fire broke out during the school play. The curtain caught first, then the lighting rig collapsed. Lena, who had been backstage, was never found. All that was left was a corner of a melted gown. The school stored what little remained, including her untouched graduation robe, never meant to be worn again until now. June 25th graduation day. Maya arrived early, hair done, cap on, wearing Lena's gown. As she walked the stage, The crowd clapped, cameras flashed. But as she stepped off the far end of the stage, she kept walking past the teachers, past the chairs toward the curtain into the shadows, and never came back out. The footage is still on file. Maya steps behind the curtain. 3 seconds later, a second figure follows. Only no one else was back there. No staff, no students. It's Black Shadow wearing the same dark gown. 2 days later, the janitor opened the storage room. The dark gown was there again, folded, dusty, tag stitched inside Lena, class of '98. But below it, something new, Maya, class of 2024. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, please consider leaving a like and/or comment. Love reading your guys' comments. Also, if you haven't already, then consider subscribing. There are plenty of other stories on this channel that I think you'll enjoy. If you want to submit a story, follow the instructions provided. Also, if you're interested in more paranormal stories, then check out my podcast where I publish new episodes every Wednesday. With all that said, I'm your host. This has been Mr. Knight. Remember, don't tempt fate. Or does fate have a way of evening the score?